China Current is a weekly news talk show from China to the world. We cover viral news about China every week and also give you the newest updates on China's cutting-edge technologies. Let's get started.
Welcome to China Current, your weekly news report on what's happening in China. I'm Lisa. In this episode, U.S. intelligence lies to U.S. Congress busted by China. Member of Japanese World War II bioweapon unit confesses to war crimes. Presidency of the Council of the European Union visited Beijing. Chinese and Russian Navy fleets conducted joint training in the Western Pacific Ocean. Chinese and UAE Air Forces conducted joint training in Xinjiang. China has become Israel's #1 supplier of automobiles. Let's start with the CIA secret misinformation campaign revealed by China. On the 10th of July, China's National Cybersecurity Department exposed a propaganda campaign staged by the U.S. Intelligence Service. The United States Intelligence Service even recruited a hacker army specifically for China. Between February and April of 2024, a hacker group called Volt Typhoon came into the spotlight through extensive reporting by Western media outlets. According to the U.S. official statement, it was a Chinese government-backed cyber attack group targeting U.S. servers and home routers, posing a great threat to U.S. national security. However, there seemed to be a lack of consensus on the severity of these threats. The Western media and various factions within the U.S. government hold different opinions on the scale of the alleged danger posed by these so-called Chinese hackers. As early as the 31st of January of this year, the U.S. Department of Justice claimed to have removed a malicious program from hundreds of routers, selling it as a major victory in the confrontation with Chinese hackers, only to be negated 3 months later by the FBI director, who publicly warned against the infiltration of many U.S. critical infrastructures by the Chinese hacking organization. He said the Chinese were waiting for the right moment to strike a devastating blow. However, Reuters reports, which came out 2 months later, was only able to confirm limited number of hacks by the Volt Typhoon hacker group. U.S. media outlet and officials successfully persuaded the Congress to extend Section 702 of the U.S. Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Section 702 allows the U.S. intelligence agencies to collect the phone calls, emails, text messages, and other communications of almost any non-American located outside of the U.S. without a warrant. Although the U.S. government states that this warrantless surveillance can only be targeted at non-Americans abroad, Americans' community are inevitably captured too. The reason is simple. U.S. citizens who talk to families, friends, and colleagues who are located abroad also meet these conditions. According to the Association of American Residents Overseas, as of 2022, there were 5.1 million U.S. citizens living abroad. The background of the Section 702 can be traced back to the 9/11 terrorist attack that happened in 2001. President George W. Bush discovered that counter-terrorist wiretapping operations required procedural approvals, and he felt the process was not fast enough in emergency situations. Consequently, he mandated that wiretapping could be conducted without a warrant, allowing intelligence agencies to act immediately with presidential authorization. And this laid the foundation for what would become Section 702. This measure was initially highly secretive. However, in 2005, as the U.S. forces invaded Iraq, these unlawful procedures were exposed. This revelation sparked significant opposition from the American public, who argued it violated citizens' right to privacy. As a result, in 2008, the U.S. government officially legalized this emergency wiretapping by enacting Section 702. However, the legal validity of the provision was originally set to expire in 2024. as it faced heavy scrutiny in 2013 as Edward Snowden exposed the PRISM program, and later as Julian Assange exposure of civilian casualties by the US military in Baghdad. These incidents heightened public awareness of the importance of privacy rights and transparency. Therefore, to persuade Congress to extend Section 702, a compelling threat must be presented. Therefore, the U.S. intelligence agency launched the Volt Typhoon program to scare U.S. voters and legislators by falsely claiming that Chinese hackers had attacked the U.S. and succeeded in prolonging their legal authority to spy on the U.S. citizens. According to an investigation by a technical team from China's National Cybersecurity Department, this political propaganda program was actually implemented as early as 2023. From January to May last year, the primary mission of U.S. intelligence agencies was to fabricate a cyber attack by a hacker group allegedly supported by the Chinese government. Then, from June 2023 to January 2024, their focus shifted to securing increased funding for the 2025 fiscal year. During this time, several U.S. companies fueled speculations about Volt Typhoon, perpetuating the China threat narrative. While the initial objective of the Volt Typhoon program were achieved, the extension of Section 702 authorization extended only until 19th of April of this year, that's 2024. But on that very same day, the US Senate passed the extension of Section 702 by a vote of 60 to 34, just before this deadline. Over the next 2 years, the US intelligence agencies not only retained their powers and secured higher budget, but also expanded the scope of their surveillance operations. As the US continues to claim cyber attacks originated from China, China's network have faced significant assaults. Statistics from China's National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center, the National Engineering Laboratory of Computer Virus Prevention, and the 360 Digital Security Group revealed that from May 2023 to the present, over 45 million cyber attack campaigns have been launched by Hacker Group, which ties to US government agencies. These attacks targeted Chinese government entities, universities, research institutions, enterprises, and infrastructure such as hospitals. The computer virus samples found in the system of these victims pointed to the US CIA, the NSA, and the FBI, among other agencies. China's official statements pointed out that Section 702 is an important legal basis for the US government to build a hacker empire around the world. All countries that respect the privacy of their citizens should be vigilant about this. While the US government haven't apologized for Section 702 yet, there are people in Japan who have the courage to stand up and apologize for the historical crime of Unit 731. On the 5th of July, a former member of the Japanese Germ Warfare Army Unit 731, Hideo Shimizu, announced plans to visit China in August to apologize for his role in the unit's notorious human experiment during World War II. In March 1945, when he was only 14 years old, the Japanese army conscripted him to the Unit 731 headquarters near Harbin in China. He remained there until Japan's unconditional surrender a few months later. At a recent press conference in Japan, Shimizu recalled the horrific scenes he witnessed at Unit 731. He witnessed various human specimens, such as pregnant women and babies soaked in formalin. Shimizu said, "I just couldn't understand why we did cruel things like that." During World War II, Unit 731 committed a series of human experiments on Chinese civilians. At its peak, the unit has 63 detachments. Historical records clearly documented 1,549 victims, and this number continues to rise as scholars conduct further research. Chinese scholars have found that, in addition to Chinese civilians, the victim also included Indonesians and Filipinos. The Japanese Empire established another biowarfare unit in Southeast Asia called Unit 9420, with branches in Malaysia, Indonesia, Burma, and the Philippines. In Malaysia, Unit 9420 occupied hospitals to breed plague rats and use prisoners for biological weapon tests. This Japanese veteran who dared to reveal the truth won't be in China until August, but the EU leader has already arrived in Beijing. On the 8th of July, Chinese President Xi Jinping met with the rotating president of the European Union, Viktor Orban, in Beijing. During the meeting, Orban expressed concerns about the conflict in Ukraine. President Xi reiterated that China has been actively promoting peace talks in its own way and encourages and supports all efforts conducive to the peace resolution of the crisis. Meanwhile, the United States has voiced concerns about Orban's self-styled Ukraine peace mission, especially his meeting with Putin and Xi. U.S. National Security spokesman John Kirby said, "It certainly doesn't seem to be productive in terms of trying to get things done in Ukraine and trying to move forward to achieve this peace that President Zelensky continues to work hard for, and that we continue to try to operationalize." This statement came 5 days after the Biden administration announced additional security assistance for Ukraine, including assault weapons donated by EU members such as Germany, Romania, and the Netherlands. Next up, on the 10th of July, China's aircraft carrier fleet launched its first Far-Sea exercise of the year in the West Pacific alongside a joint maritime patrol with the Russian Navy. Amid the US-led RIMPAC 2024 exercise heightened tension in the Taiwan Strait and South China Sea, the Chinese Navy aircraft carrier Shandong, accompanied by multiple missile destroyers, was observed in the Philippine Sea on Tuesday. Russian news agency TASS reported on the 4th of July that the Russian and Chinese Navy have teamed up in the Asia-Pacific, marking the fourth joint maritime patrol since 2021, aimed at enhancing naval cooperation and regional stability. The joint group is set to conduct anti-submarine and Air Force defense drill and practice search and rescue measures at sea. Moving on the 11th of July, the opening ceremony for the Falcon Shield 2024 Joint Air Force training exercise between China and the UAE took place in China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. The joint training is set to continue until late July. The commanders of both sides met on the 23rd of April to promote closer Air Force cooperation, notably after Washington's hesitance to provide Abu Dhabi with advanced fighter jets. The UAE brought 12 Chinese L-15 trainer jets in 2023, gradually replacing its Western military hardware with Chinese alternatives. Last but not least, Chinese cars have dominated Israel's auto market for the first half of 2024. Recent data from the Israel Vehicle Importers Association revealed that Chinese automakers sold over 34,000 vehicles from January to June, surpassing South Korean and Japanese brands. Chinese electrical vehicles, in particular, have dominated Israel's EV market with an impressive 68.31% market share. Leading the charge is BYD, which emerged as the top Chinese brand and saw a total of 10,178 orders. Analysts anticipated that this trend will continue, reinforcing China's position as a pivotal player in the global auto industry. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching this episode of China Currents. If you have any thoughts or comments about our show, please reach us at the email address below. Look forward to hearing from you and see you next time.